Welcome back to the TNT Podcast. I'm coming off my best score so far from last time. Got a 5 on a cryptid. It was Jacko. My best one yet. My
You do
Magnus Opus.
know on a scale of 1 to 10, a 5 means I halfway believe something.
But it's higher than my other scores.
Well, that is true.
So, that means I'm making progress. And maybe this one will be my best one yet. I decided to come off of that with another ape one. Or ape. Or whatever that other Jacko thing
There's
was.
another Jacko?
No.
Oh.
Kinda.
Oh.
This could be related to Jacko.
Oh, okay.
Anything that I say that gets you a higher score. It seems my dad is starting to come around to the idea that there are other sciences that we can't explain, so this one should be the one. The story. Whoa. Today I'm going to be trying to convince my dad that the Ape Canyon is real. Had to tell the name.
Ape Canyon.
Canyon.
Oh.
The story begins in 1924 near Mount St. Helens, Washington. A gold prospector named Fred Beck, along with some of his friends, built themselves a strong cabin made of pine logs and supplied it with provisions. Fred and his buddy had been prospecting on the west side of Mount St. Helens and along the Lewis River in that area. They decided to try the east side of the mountain.
You know, Mount St. Helens blew its top when I was a kid. Any Jacko that was there is dead now.
Well, yeah, now.
Yeah, it was like a nuclear blast.
Well, he could have survived.
I'm sure he did.
If he's using other sciences, that is.
Yeah, he better use something.
Fred and his 4 friends had occasionally located large human tracks along the creeks, but had never spotted anything unusual. Fred's buddy Hank was worried about the tracks, but the rest didn't pay them that much attention, so I imagine they were like paranoid all the time or something. Bears sometimes step their back feet in the same tracks as the front and gives a human-like impression. Fred did measure one of the tracks and it was 19 inches long, so that'd make a huge bear.
Old trusty Fred, the bear track measure. You sure he was using inches and not centimeters?
Said inches.
Oh, that's what he said.
They began their trip in mid-July. The entire group was excited because they'd been told it was an excellent area. As soon as they reached camp, Fred got a severe toothache, though. That's nothing to do with the cryptid itself, just felt the need to say that. Hank had driven them up and was so excited, he refused to take Fred down to the dentist.
Yep, he sounds like my buddy MQ when you go to a strip joint. You could be laying in the floor having a heart attack dying. He'd say, "Can you hang on till I run out of dollars?"
The first week there, they began to hear noises after dark. There'd be a high, shrill whistle on the side of the camp, which would immediately be answered by another on the other side. Occasionally, they would hear a sound that sounded like someone beating their fist on their chest. Hank soon became very concerned, so I really think he was paranoid.
I don't know if you're aware or not, but Hank sounds to me a lot like you and I. Scared of everything.
We have to apologize if you can hear dogs in the background. There ain't much we could do about that. They've been...
No, Hank, he'd need to find him a job indoors somewhere.
In what?
Indoors if he's scared of everything. Why go in the woods if he's scared of everything in the woods?
Well, I think Hank had a right to be afraid, and you would believe the same thing once you hear this story.
Oh, okay.
They'd been there a week, and Hank needed to go get fresh water from the creek. He'd gotten so nervous about the sounds that he asked Fred to accompany him with a rifle.
Yep, that sounds just like my cousin Stacy. He's scared of everything, too. We used to go deer hunt together. I'd have to walk him to his tree stand, and he had a flashlight. I never ever bothered to carry one.
Okay.
The bad part is he was scared of
just as the
coyotes, bobcats, mountain lions, bears, Sasquatch, aliens, cows, horses, raccoons, possums, woodpeckers.
Just as they reached just as they reached the spring, Hank let out a half scream and fired his rifle at something. Fred looked up in time to see a hairy figure standing on 2 legs about 100 yards away. The animal quickly darted behind a pine tree and would peek around it to watch them. Hank continued to fire at it when it peeked around. Fred figured the creature was about 7 feet tall and covered in black hair. It soon raced down the canyon at high speed on 2 legs. Fred fired 3 shots himself, but it raced into the tree line. They returned to the cabin.
That poor monkey just wanted to see what they were doing, and they shot at him. People are so cruel. Hey, did you see that video today about that woman that cried because that anglerfish died in the ocean?
No. I don't think it's related to this. I don't think it matters. Can I continue my story?
I'm just saying that's just how people are
No,
nowadays. I mean, they would cry instead of shoot at the monkey.
But like this could be like a rare thing that you never see again. Why would you want to kill it?
What, an anglerfish?
No, the monkey.
Oh, the monkey. I don't know what they were doing.
They returned to the cabin, thoroughly alarmed, and told the others. All agreed, especially Hank, that they should leave first thing in the morning. It was too dangerous to walk out at night with whatever those things were around.
Well, maybe they should have thought about that before they shot at it. Shoot first and ask questions later, huh?
I thought you just said that's what they should have done. About how the people nowadays wouldn't shoot at it, wouldn't like it. Now all of a sudden they shouldn't have done that. Make up your mind.
It's going to have to walk out after dark. You don't want to make something mad, do you?
What, you think it's going to follow them home?
Huh?
You think it's going to follow them home?
No, but they got to get home.
They settled down for the night inside the cabin. There was no windows in the cabin and only one door. There was a long bunk on one wall that could sleep 2 men feet to feet. The other 3 had made beds of pine bought on the floor. Boughs on the floor? I still don't know what that word is, and I wrote this. When they went to sleep, the cabin was pitch dark inside. Fred noted that all the excitement made him forget his toothache for the first time on this trip.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So, you get a toothache, you shoot at a monkey and it'll go away. Why hadn't I thought of that? Why didn't Einstein mention that in his book?
I don't think Einstein wrote a book. I think you've been lying to me. There's no such thing as an Einstein book. You're lying.
You say so.
What's it called again?
Einstein.
That's what I thought. Hank was sleeping on the floor beside Fred, and about midnight there was a loud thud on the side of the cabin. Hank immediately started panicking. Some of the chinking between the logs had landed on his chest, and he thought something was grabbing him. They could hear large...
Hank wasn't related to my cousin, Stacy?
Why do you keep mentioning your cousin, Stacy?
Because that's the way he's scared of everything. One time we were hunting, he got scared because he thought a cow was trying to climb a tree and get him.
Can cows climb trees?
He thought so.
It's not impossible.
Well, you and him think alike.
Yep, man. They could hear large footsteps moving around just outside the cabin. Everyone grabbed their rifles, and Hank peered through the hole gap between the logs. He counted 3 of the ape-like creatures moving around the cabin. Fred stated that it sounded like more than 3 to him. Soon, rocks rained down on the...
Most people count sheep to go to sleep. Not monkeys.
Soon, rocks rained down on the side of the cabin. Or the roof of the cabin, sorry. Despite reports, Fred stated that none of the rocks were big enough to crash through the roof. The rocks did make a loud sound when they struck the cabin, though. One account states a rock hit Fred in the head and knocked him unconscious, but Fred said this never happened. So he denied it.
Oh, Fred. He's just happy his toothache was gone. Heck, with a little rock to the gourd, right?
Probably. The men were terrified. They refused to shoot at the creature unless they attacked the cabin. When they attacked, the men fired between the logs, and when they took a break from attacking, the men quit firing. Fred was hoping that this would maybe teach the monkey things that they would only be fired on if they kept attacking. He was going to try to train them like that, I guess. I don't know. During one episode of the attack, several of the creatures climbed onto the roof. Afraid they might break through the top of the cabin, the men shot quite a few rounds through the roof. The latch holding the door began...
That got me off. You man, you're standing on the roof with bullets coming up through there. You'd either get shot in the butt or you get shot in...
No, that's fine. The latch holding the door began to give away, so the miners fashioned a brace out of one frame of the long cot. When the creature struck the door, the entire cabin would shake. The miners focused their shots on the area. At times, Fred thought the creature were trying to turn the cabin over as they pushed the walls, or something like that.
Poor monkeys just wanted a warm place to sleep, and these 5 buttholes wouldn't let them in. I guarantee these guys are not from the South.
They were trying to knock it over.
To get inside.
Well, they're in Washington here.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're from Washington. But most of the shooting was done by Fred and Hank. The others held their guns but retreated to the side of the cabin, not under attack at the moment. And at one point, Fred thought the other... What was the scoff about?
Nothing, boy.
You wouldn't be scared too? You're going to shame them for that?
No, it sounds like me and Cousin Donnie camping with you, Ozzy, and my cousin Stacy. Two of us fighting for our lives over here, and then them three standing over there trembling in a puddle of urine.
I'm sure I'd be brave in this situation. I'm pretty brave in life. At one point, Fred thought the other three were in shock.
See?
The attack continued all night with only a few breaks scattered between attacks. At one point, a hairy arm came through the crack between the logs and grabbed the handle of an axe. As the creature tried to pull the axe out, Fred quickly turned the axe head upward so it would get stuck on the logs. And at that moment, Hank fired at the creature and almost shot Fred in the head.
So wait a minute, you saying they went through all this rigmarole with these monkeys just because these monkeys wanted to borrow their axe, chop some wood because it's cold? I mean, that's what you're saying, right? And these boys
No.
wasn't sharing nothing. So they definitely not from the South.
It's Washington, man.
Evidently.
The creature let go of the axe and Fred pulled it back in and placed it away from the edge of the cabin. Hank began to yell, "If you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. We'll all go home in the morning." It wasn't funny. At the moment it wasn't funny, but Fred looked back at the incident with a smile. Hank quickly named the creatures mountain devils.
Well, I got a question.
What?
Did they ever reply to Hank when he yelled at them?
No.
Or maybe these monkeys were from Mexico and they,
What do
no
you...
habla.
Just before daylight, the assault was over. The creatures retreated from the cabin. The 5 men waited until it was light enough outside before opening the door. They had a quick debate over what they should take with them. They had $200 worth of supplies in the cabin. That would be almost $400 today. Hank quickly set them straight.
$200 would be worth $400 today.
1,000 today.
Oh,
did I say 100? Did I say
100? I was fixing to say that ain't very good inflation.
You know what I mean.
Oh.
Hank quickly set them straight when he asked them if $200, aka $4,000, was worth their lives.
Now I know it's me and Donnie with you and Cuz Stacy Nazi. We just found $2 million in gold here, and y'all want to abandon it to a troop of monkeys. I don't believe so.
That's what I was saying. Come on. But it does give a testament to how real this story is. If they're willing to sacrifice $4,000.
You wouldn't have said nothing because it wouldn't have been nothing but the faint smell of burning tennis shoes where you took off so hard.
I think I'd be pretty brave in this situation. They began the long walk back to their vehicle, each man watching the forest for any signs of the 8 men. Fred soon spotted one of the creatures standing on the edge of a cliff overlooking Ape Canyon and fired 3 times. The beast toppled over the edge, and Fred had no doubt that he killed one of them. The gorge was 400 feet below them. There's no way they're surviving that far.
So unless that monkey had on a parachute, he's a greasy spot on the bottom of the canyon.
I would say so.
Okay.
Fred begged the others not to tell anyone what had occurred because people would call them crazy. The first thing Hank did was stop at a ranger station and informed Ranger Welch that he had just shot a mountain devil. The ranger asked him if he was referring to a bear. Hank shook his head. No, a mountain devil. The ranger Welch then asked if he was talking about a wolverine. Again, Hank shook his head. No, a mountain devil. The ranger
Welch tell Hank that he needed to try decaf coffee?
The ranger informed Hank that he had no idea what a mountain devil could be. So, people traveled to the area in search of the mountain devils. A big game hunter from England arrived with an elephant gun and told everyone he planned to kill one. Fred took a couple of reporters and a police detective back to the area where they located and photographed some of the large footprints. All of the supplies they'd left behind were scattered around the cabin. They found small trees that had been twisted and torn apart. There were no 8 men found. And Fred took them to the place where he shot one that fell, but the body was gone.
I guess that monkey did have on a parachute.
I don't think that was what they were going for.
Oh.
And now, that is the end of the story of Ape Canyon.
You can't make this crap up.
You can't. That's why I'm saying it's real. So, thoughts?
You know, parachute or no parachute, when that mountain blowed up in the 80s, there ain't no monkeys left.
Well, not anymore. Doesn't mean they weren't, though.
So you're saying you want me to rate whether I believe the story, or do you want me to rate on whether there could have been a monkey on the mountain back then?
But they're not just normal monkeys, bro.
What are they?
They're like Ape men.
Half ape, half
Devils, man. He said it himself.
Mountain devils. Yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna have a hard time rating this one.
Because it's going to be so high?
No.
Okay.
I mean, the Jacko story was pretty good, and this is a good story.
You're telling me this is less believable than Jacko? This one had, like, 6 witnesses.
6 witnesses. You think you telling me that a whole herd of Sasquatches against 5 men, and they won?
They didn't win. They got away.
They couldn't even break down a cabin.
Well, 3 of
They're
them...
supposed to be 8 foot tall and 900 pounds.
Maybe, I have a theory that maybe the Sasquatches sensed the men's fear and walked off. Because they knew they were already over.
They attacked the cabin all night long till daylight, you said. They didn't walk off.
Well, but they walked off later when they sensed the
Maybe
fear.
they're vampires and had to be in the coffin before the sun came up.
Maybe if Hank would have acted more like I would have acted in that situation, been a little more brave.
If Hank would have acted like you would, he would have went straight through that roof and not landed for 3 counties.
I think I've gotten pretty brave in my time, especially when it comes to Sasquatch.
Whatever. It is a good story. Old Fred Beck. Measuring tracks, shooting Sasquatches.
It's pretty cool.
But the body's gone.
Well, you know, I have a theory on what happened to the body. The other Sasquatches took it and ate it.
In 1924, people heard of Sasquatch. Had to. Because they done caught one.
But they didn't call it Sasquatch here. They call it devils.
You know, they didn't know what to call it.
Because they didn't hear about a Sasquatch before. That makes it more believable.
Some parts of the story I can go for, some parts I just don't know.
But you want to give it a high score for those parts you do know. Don't you?
I don't know what they seen up there. I mean, personally, I think they couldn't find no gold. Or they did find some gold, was going to come back later and get it, so they didn't want nobody else messing with their stuff. I don't know. They's up to something. Maybe they had got some bad moonshine.
Okay. I don't think moonshine would make you see that, boy.
I'm going to give it a 4. 4.5. I'll be nice, give it a 4.5. Does that make you feel better?
Oh, I'm doing so good!
Oh, you are.
I'm doing so good. I keep averaging at 5, which isn't a lot, but if
you ain't averaged 5 yet.
But if you look at, yeah, I did. But if you look at how if you count the past,
you've averaged everywhere from 1 up to a 5.
If you count every episode where it's a 4 or 5, it averages up to like 4.5.
Right. I don't think so.
Like if you disregard the episodes where I made 1,
you fail math.
I'm doing dang good. Almost.
I believe it.
But listen. What I'm trying to say is...
Now I'm going to have to go back, see what all the ratings are, so I can add it up and see what the average is.
You don't have to do that.
Now, I didn't figure you'd want me to. So what's the next on the agenda for next time? Don't know?
Don't know.
Another Jacko?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll find out. One way or the other.
I just have a hard time thinking there's a Bigfoot, but the story was good, so I had to give it a 4.5 for the story. So.
Okay.
I mean,
they
may have seen something.
Let me set you up with something. Hang on. Let me set you up with something. Do you really believe that Hank would willingly tell a fake story that has him betrayed as a coward?
He wasn't a coward. He was one who was standing there fighting them, remember? It was the other 3 they didn't name that was standing in the corner scared.
Well...
So there you go.
But, like, he seemed like a coward a little bit whenever he saw an ape was, like, immediately scared. You might not want to tell that part.
Oh, I see a 9'8" man. I ain't going to be the least bit excited.
What about the other 3 guys? Would they really want that story going out?
No, they didn't. That's why they didn't use their names.
Dang it.
Huh?
But people knew who they were. I think.
You don't know.
I did research.
If people knew who they were, they would have said their names.
Yeah, but like, what if they didn't...
You know, the names have been changed to protect the ignorant.
But... What?
The names were changed to protect the ignorant.
Whatever.
You never heard that before?
No.
Oh, I thought everybody heard that.
No. Is there like not even a chance that maybe this could be a little bit higher?
Okay, 5. I'll give it a 5. I'll put it with Jacko. It's an interesting story. It's hard to make up.
All it took was some
But
convincing.
you still ain't averaging a 5. But anyway,
I think
we'll be back next week. No more Jacko. TNT out.
Woo!